So that right there is called a retest of the market. This retested at about $80.50. So in today's video, we are going to cover everything that you need to know about crude oil. I'm going to give you all the zones that you need. I'm going to give you possible entries. And then we're also going to take a look at what the gap is doing right now, because if we head back over to the chart, we can clearly see that we are in a bullish trend on crude oil. So what do you need to do? Watch this entire video. And hey, guess what? How about giving me a thumbs up right now? Like this video. Are you ready? Let's get started. Okay, so here is the difference. The chart I just showed you on the line chart was a 5-minute line chart. Now looking at the candle chart at the 1-hour time frame, you can see how price closed above this 80.54 area. And this is why it's important to do a multiple time frame analysis, because when we go over to the line chart, you can clearly see here that is where the retest of this area happened on that red bearish candle right there. So this is why we have to continue to look at the different time frames, but you should always look for entry opportunities at the lower time frame and not the higher time frame. So let's go ahead and get rid of this arrow, because this is where we are at right now. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to kind of drop this down a little bit, and I'm going to be giving you a different perspective as we kind of move forward with where we are at with our time frames. So I'm going to start here on the daily time frame, and I really want you to kind of pay attention to what we are charting up here. I'm also going to encourage you to look at your charts and mark up your charts at the same time. So remember, I'm going to be marking up the charts and giving you massive value. So follow along so you can also have your charts marked up by the end of this video. I'm going to take my time. Thank you for all the feedback we've received in the past week. I know a lot of you are brand new to trading crude oil. I want to make you successful. We had a phenomenal week last week, not just with crude oil, but with everything else that I trade. So again, if you're brand new, you can also check out my members area inside of YouTube that will also give you access to the trades that I put out in my private Discord group with my small group as well. So you have full access to that as well. So let's now jump back in to the analysis. And so again, as you can kind of see, this is where we are at on the daily time frame. Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to grab a Fibonacci tool, because I want to go from this high all the way down to this low right here where we had that wick. Okay, so if you take it to the wick, you can kind of see that we are at about that 78.6, heading up towards that 88.60. Some folks will like to take it from up here, and then we are at the 78.6. But I like to use the lowest wick, which in this case was here. So again, we can see here, and I'm going to go ahead and grab a quick arrow, that initially price rejected that golden ratio of the 61.8 on the daily time frame. That's why we had this drop back down towards the 38, and then we bounced perfectly off the 38 and right back up. The reason why I like using the fib levels is because the fib levels are also strong areas of support and resistance. So I'm going to kind of keep those there for now on the daily time frame. Now I want to drop down to the 4-hour time frame so we can begin to see kind of what the charts, are doing in this area. Now, if we kind of go down here, let's kind of focus in on this area right in here. Let's make this a little bit bigger, right? We can clearly see that we did close above that 80.50 area. So really, for all intents and purposes, we could see price coming up next to our next fib level, which would be about that 81.69 area, okay? But again, we don't know where the gap is going to open today. We'll be talking about that in just a minute. But again, it's pretty clear to all of us that crude oil is definitely, on the climb. And I'll go ahead and give you a quick trend line here to kind of see that we've had these, touches up in these areas, and obviously we're moving in the upward direction. So obviously there's a lot of news out there saying that demand for oil is high, but supply is purposely being kept lower, which will usually continue to drive the price higher. But again, we are going to trade what we see versus what we think is going to happen. Let me go over to the 1 hour chart because again, I want to be able to show you perspective on the 1 hour chart, kind of what is happening. Okay. Now, this could turn out to be a false breakout to the top side. We don't know that until the market reacts because we are above that zone that rejected here. We do have a wick here where sellers came in right about there. But again, because of pricing and demand, we're not 100% sure what is going to happen with crude oil. So as I kind of look at this and say, okay, we have to go with what we see, I want to see if we can find any other zones or intermediate areas where price has gone before. So for that, I want to look over to my left. You always want to look left and kind of see what has price done in these areas. So you can clearly see here, right, how we came up to this Fibonacci level once, twice, 3 times. And in between, we did have a couple of areas where price fell a little short of that area right here, and right here. So as we look at that, we can say, okay, let's go ahead and set up a smaller take profit area, probably right about here where we did have some traffic, okay, as our next target to the top side. Okay, this is if price is going to come up, okay, then we are going to see 2 different target areas. Our next target is going to be target number 1, which would be here, okay, right on the blue line. And then we'll also have target number 2 based on past practices. Let's put a number sign there. Okay, as where oil could possibly strike next to the top side. Okay, so we've kind of got that established there. Now, what I want to do is to the bottom side, give you some areas that you might want to look for. That would be an area. Okay, and then also these 2 wicks here are kind of equal lows. We'd go there. And again, for those of you that know my structure, we're going to take 20 to 30 cents at a time to trade crude oil. So these are kind of going to be our target zones for right now. And then we have some equal lows sitting right here. And I do kind of want to look over to the left real quick. And I want to kind of see what is happening here in this particular area when it comes to these lows. And yes, so that would also be a nice intermittent area that we can look at right about here before going down to that next level. So what I need you to do now is to make sure that this is, important, is as you see these zones marked up here on my chart, what I'd like for you to do is go ahead and pause this video if you need to and mark up your charts with the exact same coordinates that you see on my chart. So your chart is marked up for the week. So as I give out other trades for crude oil, also look out for YouTube shorts. I'll be doing short 30-second, 45-second trade opportunities. And again, if you are inside of my members area, you're going to get crude oil and 28 different pairs when the time is right. Again, make sure that you mark up your charts as well. So again, kind of going back to the analysis here, this is kind of what we're looking for. Okay, so these are going to be our targets to the top side. Now, again, if we see rejection, okay, if we see rejection for whatever reason and price begins to come down in this area, then these are going to be our targets that we are taking profit. So target zones are profit zones, okay? So the first place you should take profit is about that 80-19 area. And if we break and close below, then what we want to do is look at target 2 down here at 79.65 or so. Okay. And again, we'll do another target. So all these target areas are what I call my take profit areas. Okay. And so as I move down or up, this is where I'm cashing out for my first entry. And then I'm going to give you some examples here in just a minute how I trade crude oil. Okay. So kind of looking at that right here. So for example, let's say that price did come up and hit our target number one. Okay. That is where I am going to cash out my first entry. What I'm going to see is if price will then come back down to kind of retest this area. And then if it does, I would take another position, right? Possibly back up here. So it would look something like this with a very, very tight stop loss. If I'm going to go long again, it would go something like this. I would kind of put a very tight stop loss, maybe below that low, and then back up to this area. But I always set out at two targets. I always want a 2-to-1 ratio. So if I get that retest, I'm kind of going to look for something like this to the top side as we move through the course of Sunday and Monday, okay, depending on what happens. And again, all of this is going to happen not on the 1-hour chart. All of this is going to happen here on the 5-hour chart. That's kind of what we're looking at when we look at the 5-hour chart. That would kind of be the setup, okay? So again, this is what we're looking for, but on a smaller time frame. Going back to the 1-hour, okay, if we're going to take a sell position because price closed below this 80.54 target area, then we're looking at something like this. If that was to be the high, we would be looking at an entry like this. We're going to take it down at least 2 target levels, but we are going to make our stop this recent high, assuming that is the scenario. Okay, so it would look something like this, but again, entry would happen like this. Price comes down. And again, if you want to enter at the break, you can. It's up to you. That would be if we get a retest in this area and then back all the way down. Again, a retest would be something like you see here in this particular area. Let's grab a, forget the icon. I don't need an icon. So it would be something like this, okay? It would be something like this. So remember that every target area really resembles, and I was trying to find the money symbol somewhere in here, but I know it's here. There we go. Okay. So, it kind of resembles that all the time. Every target area is kind of where we're looking, for profits along the way. Okay. So that's kind of what we're looking at in both scenarios. Now, keep in mind, and we're going to kind of re-wrapping this up here now, that this right here is going to be our gap, meaning that's where price closed. So price is going to have to open and close here right at the gap. And then, of course, usually price will close the gap, especially if it's a huge gap. Again, I'm thinking, and this is only my thoughts, that we are probably going to have a substantial gap. I'm thinking maybe to the top side, only because I'm sure there's a lot of people that were selling at this point right here. And again, they may gap higher to see if they can knock out some stop losses before maybe going back up to the zone and then coming back down. Okay, I do believe that we need to visit, if we look at the 8-hour chart, okay, I do believe, and I'm going to go ahead and mark this here. I'm going to leave all that marked up because I'm going to come back to it in just a minute. Okay, I do believe that we need to come back, and the bankers do, not me. The bankers do need to come back and grab some liquidity down in these areas from $77 to $78 a barrel. So again, let's see what happens. Do understand as we look at this 8-hour chart that we might, and again, might, because I don't know. If I knew, I'd bet my whole house on it, that we might be coming back up to retest this area of 83.11, making a complete teacup, okay? A complete teacup, and then before coming back down, okay? So a teacup is nothing more than price going up, coming back down, and then making the handle of the teacup. So that is obviously in play as we look at, for example, the 8-hour chart in where price is going. Because we can definitely see, just based on everything else we talked about, that if we kind of take this out for a minute, right, here is the 8-hour candle. So we can definitely see that we are on the rise. But again, looking here to the left, okay, looking to the left, we do have some traffic, some potential for rejection, as you can see right here, and then maybe coming down from this point. So this is why it's so important that we have to trade what we see versus, kind of what we feel. So I've given you massive value today. I've given you opportunity for you to mark up your charts, see the charts, look at different possible trade opportunities depending on, what we are going to trade in the markets and what is going to happen based on support and resistance, which again, if you only trade support and resistance, you could be extremely, extremely successful if all you do is trade support and resistance. Okay, so I hope you got some massive value today. If you did, you can definitely smash the like button for me. I greatly appreciate it. If you're brand new, hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications bell so you don't miss out. Also, don't forget to check out my YouTube shorts. I plan to do short 15, 30-second videos, teaching you more about how to use TradingView. And secondly, you will see some trades coming out through my YouTube shorts. So that's why it's so important that you have your notifications turned on. And again, if you want to check out my members area, it's like $4 to $5 a month. Super cheap. I want to keep it affordable for everyone to have access to some extra information that I'll share with you in my private Discord as well. Okay. Thank you so much for watching. Again, we'll see you on the next video.